Hey everyone, Michael from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au. So we are here at the mighty Perth Mint, and we're very fortunate to have Neil spend a little bit of time with us and answer some of our stickier questions. So, who are you, Neil? How do you fit into this big picture?
Michael, I'm the General Manager of Minted Products at the Perth Mint. So basically I look after the sales and distribution and product development of all the coins coming out of the Perth Mint.
So just the coin side, or the coin and the bar side? Or
Basically the coin side is my major remit, but we also sell the bars coming out of the refinery as well.
Yeah. Bullion, numismatic, the whole lot?
Bullion, numismatic, the Tuvalu range of products, and even custom minting. That's all in our portfolio here.
Wow, that's pretty huge. How did you end up in that position? How did you kind of move to that?
Well, it's interesting. I've been at the Perth Mint for 19 years, so it's a long time, but it's a fantastic place to work. I really love the history of the Perth Mint and the history when we're coming up with coin ideas, what we're leaving behind. And I guess when I came here in 2003, I started off as the Australian wholesale manager, looking after the Australian market in isolation, and then just worked my way up over time. And I've been in the current role for 7 years now, absolutely loving it. It really is one of the most fun things, in my opinion, in this industry, is coming up with coin ideas and then taking it through to coin design and then ending up with a final product coming off the press. Yeah. And seeing your customers really loving it.
Yeah, I got to say, some of your designs have been great. Some of the packaging designs that you've done lately have been unbelievable. Like, you're really kicking goals in that area. So
thank you.
It's been really good to see. All right, so you get to deal with all these coins, like, you know, I mean, literally, you guys produce hundreds of different designs, don't you? A year, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Or it feels like it.
Yeah, no. We I know last year we had about 170 coin projects on the go. Of course, most of those are Australian legal tender. Then we have our Tuvalu legal tender, and we'll have a couple of metallic pieces going through that as well. But you know, that's all individual sizes as well. So there is a lot of work going through. Puts a lot of pressure on our tooling department to make all those tools, and then that goes further downstream, puts pressure on the coining area where they have to actually make the product, particularly when we're in a very booming bullion market.
And you think we're a booming bullion market at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, since April 2020, we've been allocating our silver kangaroos, and that is still in place.
Yes, I know.
I don't see, I certainly don't see that coming off in the near future. The silver market is red hot, and it's continued to be. And of course, that's the COVID pandemic. But now we're looking at other factors coming in, you know, the war in Ukraine, power prices in the Northern Hemisphere, or in Europe in particular. Yeah. And then you're starting to look at inflation and all sorts of economic factors really coming in, talk of recession. So if you had have asked me 2.5 years ago, did you think a bullion boom could go this long, I would have said that can never possibly happen. And here we are 2.5, nearly 3 years later. It is an incredible state of affairs.
Yeah. I remember a similar conversation we had in Germany where you're kind of saying, oh yeah, you know, it's spiked at the moment, but you know, we've all been through this before, it'll taper off pretty quick. And 2.5 years later, we're still going, well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was here during the global financial crisis, 08, 09, and that really lasted 9 months, and that was a major economic crisis through the world, and this is now 2.5 years, as I said, so it's something different.
So all those coins you produced in the last 12 months, what's been your favourite one? What's the one where you've gone, I love that? And then, once you've answered that, what's been your favourite in the whole time you've been here? What's the standout?
Okay, in the last 12 months, probably the Jubilee coins really stand out for me. Really love the design. Probably in the last 5 years, we really tried to go back to elements about the Queen rather than portraits of the Queen. Yeah. And I think it works really beautifully on coins. Yeah. So been really happy with that coin design, and obviously how it was accepted by the public as well. If I go back in time to favourite coins, I've got a couple. Probably go right back to 2008 for the Kookaburra with the spider web. For some reason, that always stuck in my mind. It was a coin that looked great, and then it actually coined really beautifully. It really was beautiful. And then the other one that sticks in mind, it's an expensive one, is the Kimberley Sunrise. But that is a coin design to me that is just so beautiful. 2 ounce gold with the Boab tree, really signifies the Kimberley. And then, of course, the Argyle pink diamond in there. But it was a stunning piece of design from my perspective.
Yeah, it was a good investment, that one too. It did really well. This is probably more a designer question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Are there any designs where you think, that looks great in theory, and then when you see the production model, you go, well, that wasn't what I expected?
Yes, look, it does happen. Design's a really interesting concept when you're looking at putting what you've got on paper onto a piece of metal. And I've got to say, the design team and the project managers, which I'd be one at the Perth Mint, we're always learning from what we've designed and how it's been replicated on a coin. We had one just recently, a great white shark, which is only coming out next year sometime, but it just looked fantastic on paper, but would not translate on the metal. And we had to make changes to our finishes to get that sort of element of the great white, the grey and white that you can see in shading on paper, but you can't see on coin. Now, we managed to actually get the coin right at the end, but it was a lot of work. But the whole design process, we're always learning about, what can work best on the coins. For example, lately with our bullion coins, we're finding very busy designs actually work. With some of the new laser technology, it actually comes up very strongly and creates a really great design across the coin. You'll notice over time some of our designs will look very different from what they did 10 years ago to what they do now.
And technology drives a lot of that.
Correct.
I got to say, I love the simple designs where you don't have a lot of the detail in there most of the time. But I know as a retailer, I hate it because they're the ones that, they'll get a fingerprint on them, or they'll get a slight ding in the process somewhere along the line, and because of the mirrored background or whatever, that part really stands out, whereas you can hide some of that in the complication of the design sometimes.
Correct.
So, I go back and forth depending on if it's my collector side or my retailer side.
Sure.
So was Perth Mint your introduction to precious metals? Did you have a background in precious metals prior to working here?
No, I didn't. It really was my introduction. It was... I'd finished up 12 years in that fast-moving consumable goods, or the food industry, as I would call it more simply, and came to the Perth Mint and really not knowing what to expect, but was really able to, I guess, use my skills I'd learned in the food industry to the coin industry. The hardest bit was starting to find coin ideas. So that was the real new bit to me, and what works, the history, what people are looking for. My first coin project that was my initial idea was the Antarctic Mawson Station.
Oh, wow.
So that was a really cool moment for me personally when I finally got a project to the press, and I kind of thought, oh, that was a really cool
That was
time.
a good coin.
Yeah.
That was a real, well done. Did you get a trip down to the Antarctic?
No. And the first, and little moments like that, the first coin I always remember selling was it wasn't my project, but it was when I came in, we just released the Golden Pipeline coin, which was a tremendous coin and a really unique piece of history here in WA, but it went really well. Yeah,
no, it's great coins. Is there a product, a coin design that you don't do here that you'd like to see, and it either hasn't been because you haven't had time, or you don't think the design would carry across, or you get voted out by everyone else?
Oh, look, I can't think of any off the top of my head, I guess. We select projects that will work for our customers, and we select designs that we think will work on the coins. So we keep it pretty simple from that perspective. Obviously, we do a lot of licensing projects on the Tuvalu legal tender, but again, the style guides, and we have to keep the licensor happy. So we always stick within the guidelines in those areas. So at this point, I can't think of anything along those lines.
Nothing you got to let us know about yet.
Correct.
All right. So when you when there's boom times like there is now, and you're saying that it's difficult with production, because I notice as a retailer, the list of available sizes will shrink, and sometimes products will shrink down a bit. So I'm assuming that if you say do a run of all the size, because in a coin you have 1/10, well actually you can have 1/20th, 1/10, quarters, halves. By limiting it you can produce more halves.
Yep.
Whereas if you're producing the whole range, right through from the 1/20th, it's distracting you from actual mintage numbers.
Yep.
Is that correct? You can't just flick a switch and produce another 100,000 of these?
No, so there's no doubt in these times we will focus on the items that are most popular, and then we will put all the economies of scale, so to speak, into producing as much of those as we can as possible. So the two sizes in gold that we always focus on in these times are the 1 ounce gold and the 1/4 ounce gold.
I'm surprised the 1/4 ounce, because the 1/10 is really popular as well.
It is, but the 1/4 ounce in particular in the USA, for example, are very strong size.
Okay, that makes sense.
And there's no doubt a lot of mints around the world have reduced the amount of fractionals they're making while they focus on, I guess the 1 ounce is always the key.
Yeah.
And it's the same with our bars. We always try to maintain stocks of a 1 ounce minted bar gold and the 1 ounce cast bar in gold. So that's just a key size from that point of view.
Yeah, because it's been a long time since I've seen like in silver, your 10 ounce or your 100 ounce bars. Is there any intent on, it's a hard question to answer, I suppose. Is there any intent on ever going back to those sizes, assuming you ever get production capacity that would allow you to? Or is it basically, no, we're done with those, we'll never make them again?
Yeah, look, interesting question. I guess the kilo sizes are still important to us. We launched the 1 ounce silver kangaroo back in 2015, late 15. And that's really changed our business in terms of we didn't have that large scale 1 ounce silver coin. We had the Kookaburra that had a mintage of 500,000.
Yeah.
Now, the kangaroos, the last couple of years, we've made nearly 12 million coins a year in these last few years. So that has totally changed the scale of our business. But with that comes other production pressures, and probably the kilo and 10 ounce suffer those production pressures. Now, we just got out the kilo Kookaburra last month, but that was seriously delayed. But it's just easier from an economy of scale purpose and a production purpose to make those 1 ounce coins in those numbers than it is to change to those kilo coins. So that will be our focus, but we will try and deliver a limited amount of those kilos and 10 ounce coins to the market so that those sort of semi-bullion collector customers can get them. And in fact, we've got the 10 ounce Kookaburra coming late October at this point.
Oh, you're willing to say that on camera, are you?
Yes, in limited numbers.
You will only get pretty much the one production run this year, you reckon?
That's right.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a key for the key one for the Kookaburra if you're collecting those ones. We've talked about the coin. Is there any intent on bringing, say, a 10 ounce bar back?
Oh, again, at the refinery where we make all our cast products, when they are booming just like the mint, again, we reduce the sizes we make. So in silver, the kilo bar is the key. And we generally cut off the 10 ounce and the 100 ounce sizes. And again, in the gold, it's the kilo gold and the 1 ounce gold. Yeah. And they're the two we make, and we cut off the other sizes. But what I can assure you is that the minute we have production time to do any of these products, we will do them. But what we haven't had is that time in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. So one of the questions we get quite a lot, I don't know how much of this you'll be able to speak to. We think we're pretty big as an Australian market. We're pretty important, particularly Bullion Now. We think we're the centre of the universe. How big is the Australian market to the Perth Mint?
Oh, the Australian market's incredibly important to the Perth Mint. It's our home market. The Australian market in terms of the world coin market is an incredibly small section of the coin market. For example, the USA is the biggest coin market in the world, bar none. It's incredibly large, even compared to Europe. It's significant.
So the US is bigger than Germany.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they're pretty serious too.
They are. But what I can tell you, from a factual point of view, for example, the Perth Mint, we still exported about 89% of our coins last year to overseas, and the two main markets were Germany and the USA. But that doesn't take away from the Australian market. Incredibly important to us, being our home market. It's from a collector point of view and a bullion point of view, we want to support it as much as we can.
Can you put a percentage on how big a market it would be? Like, would it be 2% of your sales, or 5% of your sales, or 0.1%?
Oh, no, it'd be well more than that. Look, it's probably bordering just around the 7% mark for us.
Big.
Yep.
I'm surprised it's that much.
But it's because, again, it's our home base. So, for example, if you talk to any mint outside of Australia, the market would probably not be worth looking at too much.
Yeah.
But for us being our home market, it's still significant.
Yeah. I'm still surprised at 7%. I'm going to drag you back a little bit to something you said with the kangaroo coin. Why, and again, you may not be able to answer this question, why don't Perth Mint produce the kangaroo minted bar anymore?
The silver minted bar?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's down to on our silver production, where we're trying to make as much product as we can. Round is the key.
Yeah, okay.
And that's a rectangle. So that's the problem there. So what we've done with the rectangle bar in the past is when we do our rectangle dragon once a year, any excess blanks we make, we'll do a run of those, but it'll be pretty limited.
You didn't, excuse me, having a bit of asthma attack here, but you didn't produce any this year, did you, of the kangaroo?
This year, no.
Yeah.
We used all the blanks up on the rectangle dragon.
Because I love the rectangular kangaroo. One of my favourites. No, that's good. How big's the Perth Mint? Like, not in physical size, in turnover and that sort of stuff, compared to some of the other mints around the world?
Oh, look, in terms of size, if you compare it to the US Mint is the largest mint in the world. I mean, I've only been to two of its sites, and for example, the Philadelphia site I've been to has more presses than I've ever seen in my life, and that is one of its
branches,
four facilities. So its ability to produce coins far outweighs anyone else in the market. The Canadians have two large facilities themselves, and again, they, in terms of what I see from a market share point of view, they would have the second largest reach. What I always like to say about the Perth Mint is we probably punch well above our weight. You know, we're operating from one of the most isolated cities in the world, a long way from, I guess, those two big key markets in terms of the USA and Germany. But, you know, we really perform strongly there. We're very well regarded there. The Perth Mint coins are very favoured by collectors for, if they grade them, for example, we have a very high percentage of coins that we grade at the highest mark of a 70. So, yeah, we have a very good presence in those markets.
You do. And everywhere I go around the world, people are always chasing Perth Mint product.
Yep.
Everywhere we go. It has an incredible reputation, so I'd fully support what you said. So the coins that you produce are obviously Australian legal tender. How does that work?
Okay, so the Perth Mint has an agreement with the Treasury in Canberra, where we can produce Australian legal tender coins, and that came about back in 1986, when they were looking at this facility and thinking, what can we do with it? And of course, WA is a major gold mining state, and what we wanted to do was add value to that gold. And really that was a form of manufacturing and setting up a mint. So at the time, the state government lobbied Treasurer Keating to set up a mint here where we could make Australian bullion coins, which is something that wasn't being done at the time. So that all went ahead, and in 1986, the first coins were launched, and it's been going ever since. You know, we have a very important relationship with Federal Treasury in Canberra, and we do a lot of Australian legal tender coins from that point of view, with a very strong focus on precious metals.
Yep.
And then bullion and collector.
You don't produce any circulating coins?
No, we don't. Obviously, in our history, we have done, but certainly not in the modern day.
It's been fascinating. I've got one more question for you, mate.
Okay.
What's the first coin that Perth Mint ever produced, and when?
Yeah. So the first coin was produced. It was an 1899 sovereign, and we actually have it showing in our exhibition.
The actual coin.
The actual coin. We have the
wow.
We have the provenance for the coin, and it's a beautiful piece that we can show to the public.
Yeah, we'll definitely go and have a look at that later, and hopefully we'll catch some footage and be able to put it on here. But yeah, so that is the original one. Where did the gold come from? Do you know?
The gold would have come from up in the goldfields near Kalgoorlie. I'm not sure where exactly, but it definitely would have been from that region.
Thank you for your time.
No worries,
It's been good fun.
Good to talk.